Hi, it's Andrew Mannion from Empiric. I'm the Director of European Technology at Empiric. We operate across the European market within multiple tech domains. I look after ServiceNow, Microsoft, and Oracle. Today, as part of our insights into the ServiceNow ecosystem, we've spoken to a number of MVPs within the ServiceNow community to understand what makes ServiceNow a great community to work in and to understand a few more insights from them on the ServiceNow ecosystem. So hope you enjoy the video. So today we're joined by Anders Figenschow from KPMG. So excited to talk to Anders about his ServiceNow journey. As a starting point, Anders, do you want to give us a brief introduction for yourself?
Sure. Good to be here with you today. My name is Anders. I live in Oslo, Norway, and work for KPMG. I've been working with the platform for about 10 years now. Before that, maybe 15 years as a software developer. So my technical background is sort of vast, I would say, at this time. I mainly focus on being an architect within the ecosystem, but I also do, hacking everything that makes things work, and I'm an AI enthusiast.
You were awarded a ServiceNow MVP nomination for last year. Talk to us about that. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's the fifth time in a row I got the MVP award from ServiceNow. So what they do is they try to recognize people who show a large interest in the platform, and that not only a personal interest, but an interest in teaching others as well. So you'll see that all the MVPs are people who share their knowledge with other people on the community, forums, YouTube channels, and so on.
Amazing. What was your personal journey into the ServiceNow ecosystem?
Right. So I would say, like many other people, it was by chance or by accident. So after working for 15 years as a software developer, uh, I had for the last, I say, 5 or 6 years of that period of time, I was a mastered programmer in Flash. So I don't know if you remember Flash. For those people who are old, Flash
Yeah.
was sort of the technology that made banners and games. And overnight, Apple decided to stop supporting that technology for their iPhones. And that basically killed the technology. So I was left with no job. Basically, everybody lost their jobs, and I didn't know anything else. I was very good at making Flash stuff and making games, and worked with museums and science centers, and it was a great time. But yeah, overnight I needed to figure out what to do with my life, and didn't really know much else. And I didn't want to go into being a hardcore programmer again, to be honest. So what I did was I took like 6 months. I did like project management. Didn't really fit me, so I didn't do that for long. And after that, I basically stumbled over the ITIL framework. Like, so there was some
Mm.
courses I could take, and I was like, "Ah, this sounds interesting." It basically covers some of the issues I had working for so long, that there was no system in how to build a process and everything. So I took those classes and went into the websites looking for a job and just wrote ITIL. Didn't know what to look for, and there was one job in Norway that popped up, and it said ServiceNow administrator, and they said if you have ITIL knowledge and development knowledge, you're a perfect fit. So I sort of wrote them like a one-liner. It's like, okay, this is my CV. If you see anything interesting, let me know. They called me up, had me over for an interview, and I told them, listen, just so you are aware, I have no idea what ServiceNow is. And they
Yeah.
said, nobody knows what ServiceNow is. We'll teach you. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah, so that was 10 years ago. And yeah, in Norway, it was like this one company who did it. Now there's more, obviously, but so I was lucky enough to time my professional demise with this new product and this new technology that came to Norway, and that way I was one of the early adopters of learning ServiceNow, and I fell in love with it, and decided I want to be the best I could, since that's my mentality still.
For those not aware, I mean, what does the ServiceNow ecosystem in Norway look like today? Because obviously that's quite a change, I can imagine, from 10 years ago.
Yeah, back then it was a small partner, not an international company. Now you have KPMG, obviously, but you also have EY, Accenture still trying, I think, but not doing too much. And you have DXC who's present. You have some smaller independent people doing it, but yeah, it's growing still. And but the new trend now is actually that the client side is hiring. Um, as back then they just use partners for it, but now you have large clients. They do hiring and have more than 50% of their staff being internal. So that's the new trend.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. So sounds like a real growth trajectory over the 10 years since you kind of stumbled into the ecosystem. You mentioned the MVP being awarded as an MVP. What does that mean to you, being an MVP in the ServiceNow community?
So, uh, other than getting a recognition, which is always nice, like the owners of the platform giving some sort of acknowledgement that you do something right, that's very inspiring. So it sort of pushes you to do a little bit more. But it reminds me, for the most part, that by sharing my knowledge to other people, it makes me think about what I'm presenting in a way that makes me actually raise the quality of whatever I'm talking about, because I don't want to say anything that's a mistake, makes me look bad in the end. When it comes to the benefits of being an MVP, there's a lot that ServiceNow provides. They, other than they give you some merchandise, but for the most part they give you a community of other MVPs, really really smart people, and they give us an extra platform. They help us present our material out there. They have, the community forum as well, and allow us to participate in their YouTube channels and stuff. So as long as we want to participate with our knowledge out to the community, they will help us as long as we're MVPs. And it doesn't limit it to only MVPs, of course, but I think we do get some extra benefits from them.
Why should professionals consider joining the ServiceNow community?
So if you talk about people who don't work within ServiceNow at all, then I would say that you can go from as it was for me, you move from like a traditional development ecosystem to work on a development platform, and instead of just trying to figure out how companies work and make a product for them, how they work, then suddenly you work on a platform where they already have their processes established, and you understand how the business works. So it's much easier to develop products for them on that platform. So I think it has an amazing benefit to understand for sort of old school programmers that the future lies in working more closely with the customer and their processes, and not just making up stuff and try to push their product on them. I realize that that's not how it is always, but for me, it was like that before. When it comes to people who work with ServiceNow a little bit as just administrators, I would always encourage them to try to like raise their skill set by developing on the platform as well.
Incredible. And are there any kind of interesting past or current projects that you'd like to share with us that you think kind of really highlight the power of this ServiceNow platform?
I do have one success story I love to talk about, which is when I worked at IKEA a few years back. That was it was the HR part of IKEA. It was called Inter IKEA, and they had a very clear goal, which was to remove all the paperwork. So all the contracts, all the paper, physical paper
Mm.
that they had to send back and forth to new employees. They had to store it in a warehouse, someone had to maintain that as well. So the goal was, let's see if we can just remove all the paper by
Mm.
using like digital signage and storing it like the document management in ServiceNow, and also making the documents themselves being sort of generic enough, and they could change them with scripts. So they were like, you, instead of having 200 contracts, you could have like 10, and they would change according to what country you are, and then you need to change the date format. Like in China, the date format has Chinese characters between the numbers. Like
Right.
instead of just making a different template for China, you can just say, well, if it's China, then just insert that into the contract.
Mm,
So we did some very smart things at IKEA, and as I can't really estimate how much they saved on it. I do know that
mm,
they stopped using paper contracts after this. So that was a great success. And we had a way of working that I've tried to take onto other projects as well. And it was to make small changes and release them as quickly as possible instead
mm,
of planning a lot, doing the risk assessments, having it in some sort of system, and maybe pushing out every second week. We had releases every single day with the knowledge that something might break. And we did it on purpose because we knew that fixing something that broke as soon as we saw it had much more value for the customer
mm,
than waiting 2 weeks and then cashing the value. So
mm.
value was every single day, and that was very inspiring.
I'm sure everyone can understand the benefits of going paperless within an organization. So it's great to hear that. Can you tell us about your involvement in knowledge events as well? So obviously we have the Las Vegas knowledge event coming up soon. What's your involvement in those events, and what has it provided you in your career as well?
Yeah, so the knowledge event, for those who don't know, is every single year, ServiceNow has this large event in Las Vegas. And I don't know the number of people, but it's just massive. It's enormous. A
Mm,
lot of people from all over the world come there, and they can attend these sessions, listen to people talk on stage. They can take workshops and hackathons. They can attend to those, and there's large keynotes who shows what's coming in ServiceNow. And I've been invited a few years, maybe 4 times, I think, to have sessions at this event. And I'm having one also now in about 3 weeks' time. I love attending these conferences because people talk about the platform and how I can learn something and use it to provide the best outcomes and value for my customers. I love to talk about sort of something on the side in these conferences.
mm,
Like I talk about the technology that is the foundation of ServiceNow. Like I would
mm.
talk about search engines in general, like how you could make your own search engine, and by making your own search engine, not to replace the one that ServiceNow has, but to understand how it works, so you know how ServiceNow search can be utilized 100%. And then I talked about one year how machine learning is working. Like, what is machine learning and how you can use like something called Markov chains, which is old, really old, like 200 years old math, maybe not 200-year-old math,
Yeah.
to make predictions. Like you have this predictive intelligence of ServiceNow that takes some ticket in and it predicts the assignment group. Now you can make that in 25 lines of code. And I made a proof of concept that proves that that is correct. So, and this year I'm talking about the AI as a technology, not AI in ServiceNow really, but how large language models work. Really, what does it do? Like, how does it understand us? And I think that's also important to understand in order to not make mistakes when we are using the new agentic AI in ServiceNow. Like if you don't understand the technology behind it, you can make mistakes, and that could be, make you can make it difficult for your customer if you automate something with AI and it makes a mistake for you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's more than we've got time to kind of jump into in detail today, but I'd urge anyone that's at the knowledge event in Las Vegas to say hello to Anders and to listen to the talk as well, because I think it's very prescient for the kind of current discussions around agentic AI to really understand the technology. So really, really interesting kind of insight there. Is there anything else regarding your involvement with ServiceNow that you'd like to share with us?
So I guess my involvement is just to try to be the best I can. I always try to better myself and better my experiences and my knowledge around the platform. And it's not connected to my job, not connected to my connections, not connected to my customers. Really, it's connected to me trying to achieve something makes me a better person, and by effect, it helps the customers, it helps my friends and colleagues, and my workplace. And that is something I want other people to think that way. Really, that would help me. That will help everyone. Just try
Yeah.
to be a better professional, not because of any other reason that being better, and that's good enough.
Yeah, 100%. Well, what a lovely, inspiring message to leave us with. So, thank you very much for your time today, Anders, and look forward to seeing more of your work. I know you've got a published book and YouTube channels and a podcast as well, which I think is a lot of fun. So, if you're interested to hear more, advise connecting with Anders on LinkedIn and following his updates and content for more information. But again, thank you very much for your time today, Anders. It was great to get your insight on the ServiceNow ecosystem and being an MVP within ServiceNow.
Thank you for having me.